Sounds. The Sanskrit alphabet is organized according to how the sounds are pronounced. This means that the order of the alphabet is not arbitrary and it is perceptible, meaning that other alphabets may also have an order that is not really arbitrary, that might come due to some internal logic or some specific history, but it might not be so easily perceptible. In Sanskrit, however, the rationale behind the order is somewhat clearly perceptible. Other languages that have been influenced by Sanskrit in terms of their grammar, their script, and the organization of their basic sounds also reflect similar orders. Good examples are Thai and Japanese. A, I, I, U, R, L, L, E, I, O are vowels. They can be short or long. The line on top of the vowels indicates that they are long. This is when we write in Roman script, of course. In the case of A and A, the difference is also that A is more open. So it's A and A. There are slight differences in different regions on how the A is pronounced. In some places it goes a little bit towards an E, and in some places even towards an O. But there is still this difference between A and A. So remember, A is closed, meaning that we don't fully open the mouth with an effort. A. And A is when we fully open the mouth. E, I, O, Ow are always long. This is quite important. We never pronounce E as a short one. And O also is never pronounced as a short one. That is why in Roman script we do not find this sign for the elongation on top of E and O, because it's not needed. We do not need to distinguish between a short form and a long form, because E and O are always long. And the same goes for I and Ow. Aha are modifications of the vowels. Is pronounced as a nasal sound similar to an M, but without reopening the mouth. What I mean is, in case of we pronounce it without reopening our lips. So But if we have a separate makara, a separate M sound, then it would be So versus Aha is pronounced like an aspirated sound with a small repetition of a previous vowel. We could represent it in writing as the same letter followed by the aspiration and accompanied by the same vowel written in a smaller superscribed script. So, example, aha. Now, there are differences in the way this is pronounced. There are sometimes speakers who pronounce it as ah, but this is a little bit less common perhaps, and is a very common type of pronunciation. These two modifications can apply to other vowels as well, meaning that we have given the example of a short letter a, but we can also have aha, ihi, ihi, uhu, uhu, etc. Now try to pronounce the following. I will pronounce each of them 3 times, so you can join the second and third time. Buddha, 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 Buddhihi, 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 Guruhu, Guruhu, Guruhu. Buddha means the Buddha. Buddhi means intelligence or perception. Guruhu means a teacher. Kakha, Gagha, Na are stops formed in the throat. So many consonants are called stops because the flow of the air is stopped. The difference between ka and kha and between ga and gha is the level of aspiration. Ka has no aspiration, ka has clear aspiration. Well, we can also say that ka has just a very little aspiration, although by convention we call it not aspirated, while ka has a lot of aspiration. Ga, likewise, has no aspiration, gha has clear aspiration. So here is the difference. Ka, kha, ga, gha. So you see, ka, this is the non-aspirated form. Kha, this is the aspirated form. If you have difficulties pronouncing with strong aspiration, try to divide the sound as a kind of slow motion first, separating the two parts. Kha. So instead of saying ka, try to start from kha. So kha, kha, kha. The difference between ka, kha, and ga, gha is that the first two are unvoiced, meaning we use only the breath, not the voice, to form the sound, and the second two are voiced. We use the voice, not just the breath, to form the sound. Now, it might be difficult to perceive that because in order to pronounce these consonants, we always accompany them with a short vowel a. And of course, when we pronounce the vowel, the voice is always used, and therefore it is hard for us to recognize that at the beginning of our pronunciation of ka, the k part doesn't really use our vocal cords. But in fact, this is the case. So when we pronounce the ka, the k part, the initial part doesn't involve the use of our vocal cords. While when we pronounce ga, from the very beginning, the initial sound itself involves the use of our voice, our vocal cords. The difference, if you want to understand it through a different exercise, is you can understand it through sibilants, where we don't stop the breath and therefore we can form a continuous sound. Like, for example, this sound is unvoiced. You cannot introduce a pitch through your voice, but zzz, this is a voice sound, so you can change the pitch. The fifth letter, nga, is nasal. It is formed by using the nose too, not only the throat. If you have difficulties understanding what it sounds like, try to pronounce anga or anka in slow motion, meaning anga or anka, so that the reason why some people find it difficult to pronounce the nga is that perhaps the languages that they're used to do not have this type of nasal as an initial sound. There are many languages where the nasal as an initial sound is a dental nasal, like na. But there are languages where you can have an initial nga. So anga, nga as a separate letter is not na, but nga. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya are stops formed in the soft palate. So they're called talabia. Palatals from talu. Soft palate is if you run your tongue from the teeth backward, touching your palate, you will notice that it is first hard, then once you get towards the back, it is soft. That area in the back is where these sounds are formed. So you can try this exercise and you will find that first you have your teeth, of course, and those are hard. Then you have a part of the palate which is also hard, and then at one point you can feel with your tongue that it becomes soft. That is called soft palate. If you have difficulties understanding how nya sounds like, try to pronounce pancha in slow motion. Pancha. So the same applies here. Not all languages have words with an initial nya, and therefore people may have difficulties recognizing it. Tatha, dadha, na are stops formed in the hard palate. The tongue points upwards towards the brain, called cerebrum, so they're also called cerebrals. They're also called retroflex because the tongue is bent towards the back, meaning that we curl the tongue so that the tip touches upwards. To pronounce them, make sure that the tongue curls and points upwards, touching the hard upper part of the palate. So it is ta, is not ta, is ta, ta, ta. Tatha, dadha, na are stops formed by touching the teeth. They are clear dental sounds, so make sure that the tongue touches the teeth directly and not somewhere behind them. This will make them sound a bit like the previous set. So what I'm referring to is that we should pronounce ta, not ta, ta. You see, if I say ta, ta, this ta, ta is closer to ta. So in English, it's not so common to pronounce clear dentals. We pronounce a little bit behind the teeth, so to speak. So in Sanskrit, we should try to be clear that it is ta, ta, ta. Pa, ba, ma are stops formed with the lips. So pa, pa, pa. Pa, ba, ma. Here, clearly, we use the lips. Ya, ra, la, va are semi-vowels, each resembling a vowel, I, U, R, and R, respectively. So, ya resembles I, ra resembles R, la resembles L, and va resembles U. Sha, sa, ha are sibilants where the breath is not stopped. So sh, s, ha. I can pronounce them continuously without stopping my breath. Ksha and Nya are special conjuncts pronounced like Ksha, meaning with a very faint K sound, and Nya with a very faint J sound. But also in other ways in different regions. So there are other conventions as to the possible pronunciation of these two sounds. The above is not a manual on how to pronounce. The best way to learn pronunciation is by listening and repeating, not by consciously trying to place one's tongue in the right place. This is why I started by offering tools to listen and repeat. This is actually how we learn the sounds. This is an analytical tool that we consult. However, some basic guidelines can be helpful when one has doubts.